Thank you for joining us for this look at the best original reporting from KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Coming up, what are the limits to free speech in a public place? A popular local YouTube channel says the Navy went too far in shutting down some of its live webcams. Nurses are in high demand, and one local provider is ready to spend big money to keep them around, where some recruits might soon get a six-figure bonus. And cartooning through a Spanish lens, the Comic-Con Museum showcases one of Mexico's top artists. And one of the biggest stories this week is at the border. Some asylum rules are finally easing now that the pandemic emergency is over, but there are still a lot of hurdles. KPBS border reporter Gustavo Solis tells us how technology is one of them.
Every morning, hundreds of people living in Tijuana's Agape migrant shelter stare anxiously into their phones. They're logging into a mobile phone app that schedules appointments for asylum seekers hoping to enter the U.S.
Me ha tocado ver personas gritar de alegría, otros llorar también de felicidad, porque pues por fin están logrando lo que necesitan.
Vidal Garcia is one of them. He says that he's seen people break down in tears of joy after finally getting one of the coveted appointments. Since January, about 15,000 migrants in Tijuana have secured appointments through the CBP-1 mobile app. But most of those appointments haven't gone to people like Garcia. Almost half of them have gone to Russian nationals, even though they make up less than 10% of Tijuana's migrant population. That's according to numbers from the Mexican government. This is a huge racial and economic disparity, says Enrique Lucero. He's head of Tijuana's Migrant Affairs Department.
Como no hay un filtro para determinar quién es vulnerable o quién es más vulnerable que el otro, eso ha sido, yo creo, la mayor falla de la aplicación.
Lucero says that CBP-1 does not give preference to more vulnerable migrants. In fact, it rewards those with newer smartphones and more powerful Wi-Fi connections. This means that it specifically rewards the Russian war refugees. The majority of them can afford airfare to Mexico. They tend to stay in hotels with powerful Wi-Fi signals. Meanwhile, Central American migrants walk to Tijuana. They sleep in overcrowded migrant shelters and struggle to use the mobile app on their outdated phones.
Tienen mejor teléfono, ¿no? Un iPhone o un Samsung. Tienen mejor conectividad, porque no es lo mismo estar 1,000 personas en un albergue conectado todos a la misma vez que estar en tu hotel 4 personas. Entonces, la conectividad es un factor importante.
Lucero says that CBP-1 doesn't distinguish a Russian migrant from a Central American one. That leaves migrants like Garcia on the outside looking in. He's been living in the migrant shelter for more than a month with his 2 siblings, their partners, and 4 nephews. He's not resentful of the Russian war refugees. Most migrants feel a strong solidarity with all asylum seekers. But Garcia doesn't think it's fair that CBP-1 picks one group over another.
When I see people crying or jumping because they're happy, I feel the same emotion because I'm happy about them, because I wish them the best. But then I get in the office and start to cry. Sometimes, not all the time.
Pastor Albert Rivera runs the Agape migrant shelter. He sees the migrants desperately logging onto their phones every morning, and he says this is happening all along the border. Every morning, tens of thousands of people all trying to log into CBP-1 at once.
You have about 50,000 immigrants all at the same time trying to enter in one place, so it gets overjammed, and then there's not too many of them that get an appointment.
Rivera recently invested in a stronger Wi-Fi connection, but says that it's still not enough. And he's not an open borders guy. Rivera knows that the U.S. cannot let everybody into the country without vetting them. He calls it a balancing act between security and humanitarianism.
We cannot say, okay, we're just interested in security and forget about human rights. And we cannot say, okay, we only are interested in human rights but are forgetting about security. And that's the problem that all the politicians have.
But to the migrants waiting for appointments in Tijuana, the entire system seems really off balance. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
COVID-19 is still with us, but it's manageable, and that's why a formal emergency declaration ended this week. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman has two stories for us on San Diego's nurses and the work being done to boost the staffing and morale lost in the recent years.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's Career Fair Day at Palomar Health's Escondido Hospital. The health system is looking to hire up to 250 nurses, and many applicants were getting on-the-spot offers Wednesday.
Congratulations, you obviously made a great impression.
Health systems across San Diego have been upping their game to attract nurses. Palomar Health recently introduced a 3-year, $100,000 sign-on bonus. It's for new and existing full-time nurses, and it's something many at the career fair were aware of.
You know about this sign-on bonus here? We know that you have multiple positions open.
Pamela Travis is an intensive care unit nurse in Temecula. She says the bonus is one of the reasons she's interested in working for Palomar.
I definitely think it was the initial attention grabber, and then I think though you always have to show up to a facility, you have to see how the floors are run, you have to talk to your managers.
Hospital leadership introduced the $100,000 sign-on bonus for full-time nurses in April. It requires a 3-year commitment, and payouts would increase over time. The bonus is for new full-time hires as well as existing nurses.
Many of them thought it was too good to be true, but we wanted them to know that there's no catch, there's no gotcha. We are very serious about this program and really want them to know how much we want them to stay.
Palomar Health CEO Diane Hansen says there's a bonus for part-time nurses too, but those are lower and they depend on hours worked. She says it was introduced to move away from contract nurses, which have been expensive.
We're spending anywhere from 50 to 60 million this year in contract labor. And so we wanted to take those dollars, if we can save, some of that money and put it towards this bonus program, that's what we're trying to do.
Palomar Health has around 1,800 nurses, not all of them full-time. To get a sense of how much this could cost the hospital, if 1,000 nurses got the full bonus, that would be $100 million over 3 years. Chief Nursing Officer Melvin Russell says most existing employees have signed up for the bonus. He says it's also helped attract a lot of new applicants.
Post-COVID, we really were, as all healthcare agencies, were really struggling on applicants.
The American Hospital Association reports an older workforce, a surge in retirements, and pandemic burnout is driving a nationwide health worker shortage.
As simple as that, yeah.
Palomar Health officials say the hardest to recruit are in labor and delivery and operating room nurses. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
We are the union. The mighty, mighty union.
About 500 nurses from across California are asking state lawmakers to help address a nationwide staffing shortage of healthcare workers. Nurses from Sharp Healthcare, Kaiser San Diego, and Paradise Valley Hospital were in Sacramento Tuesday, rallying at the Capitol.
And we're here to let our lawmakers know that if they choose not to support this legislation, then they're choosing not to support us.
Andrea Millor is a registered nurse with Sharp Healthcare. She's also president of the Sharp Professional Nurses Network. She and others are asking for the California legislature to invest $500 million in community college nursing schools, something they say would help increase the number of graduates. The United Nurses Associations of California also wants to see bills passed that make it easier for high schoolers to enter nursing programs and get students more on-the-job training.
If there's holes in our pipeline, then we're going to see, surges in unsafe staffing to coincide with those holes. We need a steady stream of nursing students.
A recent nationwide survey found nearly a third of nurses are likely to leave healthcare due to the pandemic. Unions say older nurses are retiring and others are burning out.
Our profession is hitting some bad times. And if we don't fix this now, a lot of us will leave the profession. We're nurses, we're resilient, but we're also human. We can only take so much.
Laura Tabayan is an ICU nurse and union representative at Sharp Chula Vista. She says nursing school can be expensive, and it's important to lower barriers to entry for the next generation. Tobian says everyone will need a nurse at some point in their life.
Whether it be good times when we have labor and delivery, when you're having a baby, or sometimes in your last breath with your hospice nurse.
Nursing unions are also supporting a bill that they say would bring accountability for enforcing nursing staff ratios at hospitals. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And here are some of the most popular stories this week at kpbs.org. A big change in local media. Independent station KUSI announces a pending sale to television giant Nexstar, which also owns Fox 5 San Diego. An update on solar energy in California. The state says it will review requests to overturn some of its recent changes. And South Lake Park opens in San Marcos. We show you the new attraction that took nearly 20 years to build. And here's another of our most popular stories. Those who run the popular San Diego Webcam YouTube channel say that they do not believe what they are told about why some of their cameras were turned off. KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer has an update on what happened after one of those cameras broadcast a near collision by Navy boats.
Barry Barami is not happy. The cloud architect is the administrator of the San Diego Webcam, a YouTube channel that live streams San Diego Bay.
It's absurd. This is all absurd.
Last month, officials at Cabrillo National Monument in Point Loma disconnected 2 webcams Barami installed a decade ago. Barami says he installed the cameras in an arrangement with the park. He was allowed to mount and operate the cameras, and he provided Wi-Fi service to park guests. Now, Naval Criminal Investigative Services, or NCIS, says that the cameras were a security concern, claiming they broadcasted military activity on Naval Air Station North Island and Naval Base Point Loma. The Park Service says that after reviewing those concerns, it decided it did not have authority to continue to authorize them.
The San Diego Webcam is not live streaming anything that people can't already see.
Barami says the move amounts to censorship.
Well, you know, when the government starts censoring a very public view, I think that everybody should be concerned.
Warship 4-9, we're coming to port to avoid you.
Back in November, Barami's cameras were rolling when 2 Navy warships almost collided at a narrow point in the bay. The ships had to take evasive maneuvers to avoid the collision.
Warship 9-2, we are coming to port to avoid you as well.
Barami's cameras were unplugged last month, the day before the Navy released its investigation into that incident. Actions he thinks are connected.
It's not for security, and it's no coincidence that after 10 years, they cut it off a day before the report came out. I mean, give me a break.
This has been an issue in numerous cases.
That's David Loy, the legal director of the First Amendment Coalition, a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that advocates for government transparency.
The First Amendment guarantees the press and public the right to record, observe, and report on anything that occurs in a public place. So if the government has secrets to keep, it needs to keep them secret. It cannot tell the press and public that you may not film or record or observe matters that the government itself exposes to the full view of the public.
Belinda Taylor lives in Virginia, and her son serves on a San Diego-based ship.
I'd like to see that camera get turned back on so that we can see our families and our children and other people's children and celebrate with them when their families come in.
Taylor and her family were unable to come to San Diego to greet her son when returning from deployment. She says she found the San Diego Webcam after the Cabrillo fees were cut and is disappointed she wasn't able to watch her son's ship come into the bay.
None of us can really go out there to see him, so having that camera gives us that opportunity to see him. Even if we can't see him, it's like being there even though we can't be there. And laying eyes on him or on his ship when he's been on the other side of the world really gave us a sense of feeling that he's home.
Asked if these newly raised security concerns would impact public access to the park or visitors' ability to take pictures and video, the National Park Service says it has no further comment. Barami says he already has plans to mount even more cameras locally and is also developing an app to let anyone live stream from the park with their phones. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
Communities near Lake Tahoe were shaken by a pair of moderate earthquakes Friday morning. And in San Diego, work continues to see how buildings can survive stronger shaking. KPBS SciTech reporter Thomas Fudge visited UCSD, where some important tests were done this week.
3, 2, 1.
The building swayed as it would have in the 1999 Chi-Chi earthquake in Taiwan. That magnitude 7.7 quake killed more than 2,000 people. Buildings made of steel and concrete were destroyed. But the wooden high-rise built recently on UCSD Shaketable showed no visible damage.
The building is fine. We don't need repair. Maybe we need to patch some drywall, but that's about it.
The Tallwood Project is a partnership between UCSD and the Colorado School of Mines, among other universities. Its test of a 10-story building is remarkable in many ways. For one, it was the tallest full-scale building ever built and tested on a shake table. For another, it used an earthquake-safe design called rocking walls. And of course, it is made of the sustainable resource timber. Shilling Pei is a professor of civil engineering at Colorado School of Mines.
In fact, another big advantage with timber in seismic is that it is light. It's only 1/5 the weight of concrete. And also it is very forgiving. It's flexible, just like a big tree in a windstorm.
The building was also engineered to rock with the motion of the earth. UCSD engineer Joel Conte says the bottoms of the exterior walls actually rise off the ground as it rocks, secured by flexible steel cables.
The bottom of the wall is going to uplift about an inch, a little bit less than an inch, and then on the other side, and then again. And this wall is pre-compressed against the foundation with these tendons. You can see two steel tendons. They are like gigantic bungee cords.
California's building code now allows buildings up to 18 stories tall to be built from what's called mass timber. Industry needs to be convinced that timber buildings are safe and practical. Among the many people who showed up and donned hard hats at the Tallwood Project test was an engineering manager with Boise Cascade, Daniel Cheney. He said timber construction takes carbon out of the air and puts it into our infrastructure.
So putting buildings made of wood actually provides a place to store carbon, and it's good for the environment, good for the industry, good for you and me.
Boise Cascade built the columns and beams for the shake-tested building. The other earthquake simulated today was California's Northridge quake, 6.7 on the Richter scale.
Northridge complete. 5 minutes.
Thomas Fudge, KPBS News.
California has some of the most beautiful coastline on Earth, and what's happening beneath the water's surface is proving to be just as impressive. Environment reporter Eric Anderson shows us some of the work happening to keep it that way.
So right now we're in the Matlahool State Marine Reserve.
Wild Coast's Lily Mulligan steadies herself as waves rock her boat just west of the La Jolla Cove beach.
A beautiful park, but where are the boundaries? You can't exactly tell.
The underwater park is located between the rocky cliffs of Point La Jolla and Scripps Pier. It covers about a square mile. There's another underwater reserve just north of the pier, making this a pretty large marine protected area. Mulligan says the underwater scenery is just as spectacular as the scenery in many of California's iconic parks.
You would see a beautiful kelp forest beneath us with all of the beautiful ecosystems that are replenishing within the marine protected area. There's our beautiful submarine canyons off of Scripps, and this creates a beautiful area for biodiversity. It's lush if you look beneath the water.
But on the surface, those spectacular views are invisible. Even kayakers who recently got a tour of the area had to use their imagination. The largely opaque water keeps the park's wonders out of view, but the murky ocean can't hide the success of California's marine protected areas.
So far, it looks great. What we know is that in many cases, size, abundance, diversity, and biomass of the wildlife and fish inside is doing better than outside of protected areas.
But maintaining and building on that success story takes work. Wild Coast regularly surveys San Diego County's marine preserves, helping an understaffed fish and game department make sure the areas remain protected.
we are doing boat-based MPA watch. So we are traveling through MPAs and we're looking at how folks are using them and then keeping track of all those things.
Lisa Gilfillan is a Wild Coast conservation manager.
And then we're also checking on our M2 radar units. So we have 3 radar units in the area, and part of what we have to do is just make sure that they're functioning properly. So we get on the boat, and then we see what the radar is picking up on, and then we visually look for those same things that the radar is seeing just to confirm that everything's working properly.
That's all aimed at making sure people take advantage of the opportunity to see the reserves, while at the same time protecting the biological riches that grow inside a preserve's borders. In this marine protected area, fishing is not allowed.
For the most part, there's people interacting in these spaces the way they should be, without taking resources, without taking fish or invertebrates, for instance. But there's a few bad apples out there, and yes, we're able to keep an eye on those in some ways, but yeah, some do get away with it.
That even happens in the Channel Islands, which are a good distance away from the mainland and most of the state's people. But park officials there see more positives than negatives.
By and large, people are law-abiding. And once the law's on the books, even if they fought it tooth and nail as something they didn't want, once it's on the books, we see a high level of compliance with the laws. And most of the time when the laws are being violated, it's out of ignorance. They didn't know that they were fishing in a closed area.
Restricting fishing is key to showing how those regions would develop without human interference, and that can help researchers better understand the impact of things like climate change. Mobley says new remotely controlled underwater submersibles are helping science and making the case for the reserves.
When people see the video in a public stakeholder meeting, they go, oh, I get it. They see all these incredible creatures, this really complicated structure on the bottom, how fragile it is.
Mobley says the key to keeping the marine protected areas vibrant lies in the ability to make the invisible visible. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
It's baked into California's culture. You just grab your keys and get behind the wheel. But how did we get so dependent on cars? That is one of the questions that we explore in a brand new podcast series, and it's produced by KPBS called Freeway Exit. It's created and hosted by KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen. Freeway Exit dives right into the consequences of our freeway system, the climate impacts, the dividing of communities, and the everyday public safety issues. It's all up for discussion. First 2 episodes of Freeway Exit are now available to stream wherever you get your podcasts. You can have more from the 6-episode series. It'll be launching in the coming weeks, along with some community events, so stay tuned for that. The Comic-Con Museum has a new exhibit featuring one of Mexico's most popular cartoonists. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando takes us on a tour.
Jose Trinidad Camacho is a Mexican cartoonist, better known as Trino. He comes from a rich tradition of Mexican sequential art, according to William Noricio, professor of English at San Diego State University, where he also works in its Center for Comic Studies.
He's in a long line. I guess it would start with Jose Guadalupe Posada with his printmaking shop in Mexico City. And then moving into the 20th century, you have a cartoonist like Rios, who was known for his left-wing satirical comics. And Trino, at the end of this cycle, is just a very accomplished, funny, silly, nasty, dirty comedian, comic book comedian. He's got a very loose and fluid freestyle. It really appeals to me. His panels are free, easy, floating, frenetic, and funny.
A collection of Camacho's humorous work has been gathered for the new exhibit Trinos World at the Comic-Con Museum.
Comic-Con International has international in our name, and we have guests from all over the world and visitors from all over the world. And I think we'd like to see that at the museum as well. This is our first foray into that, and I hope it's the first of many.
The exhibition is a binational collaboration between the museum and the Consulate General of Mexico in San Diego. Trinos World showcases drawings, watercolors, sketches, and objects reflecting a career of more than 4 decades. Although Trino's work is in Spanish, it often needs no translation.
So you've got Han Solo saying, Chewie! And a Mexicano who's walking by goes, "Ew, yeah, you call me?" And he says, "No, el otro Chewie, Chewbacca." Chewbacca enters. So just a two-panel joke playing on the funniness that Chewie is a nickname and Chewie is Chewbacca.
And Trino loves a pun in any language.
The referee is saying, that was a very rude move. Who is your captain? And then Captain America, aquí, here I am, I'm the captain, Captain America. I told you he's silly. These are his puns.
Trino taps into American pop culture of superheroes, Star Wars, and Star Trek.
I mean, it's a little like Mad Magazine, a little like SNL. It's a send-up of characters we know and love. The beauty of a comic strip like this is that it shows how much Mexicans and Americans have in common.
That's one of the joys of the exhibit, seeing how our two cultures overlap in what we share. But Trino also looks to his own Mexican culture to find humor in things like luchadors. Take his El Santos character, an homage to the real Mexican wrestler El Santo. The exhibit has a character study of Trino's luchador from a film he animated.
These are loose lines, drawn quickly, but that have terrific expression. The angst is all in the eyes. It's the most basic and simple of cartoon renderings, and yet there's a poignance to it. There's almost a power in a pleading in the eyes. You wonder what El Santos is confronting at that moment. It could be a monster. It could be that he's confronted by the zombies. One doesn't know. But Trino's ability to capture classic human expressions, it's without question we're dealing with a comic artist master.
And a master whose work has universal appeal.
It almost does the work a disservice to call Trino a Mexican cartoonist. He is. He's Mexicano. He's from Jalisco. He's real proud of that. But the history of cartooning from the cave drawings of Lascaux to today is just human beings trying to leave a little trace of themselves behind. And what he leaves behind are some really funny meditations on the human heart and the human soul.
And that needs no translation. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
And we hope that you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Thanks for joining us.